Welcome back to The Whole Home. I'm Kezia and we're going to talk today about budgeting and specifically how we use Monzo, the bank, Monzo, and their app to practically help with everyday real life sticking to our budget. We have tried so many different kinds of software, apps, and different things to practically organize our money and stick to our budget. Monzo is the easiest of everything that we have found for simple tracking and sticking to our budget. So I wanted to take you through how we use it because this can be such a stressful topic, and I think having tools to help us is so key. If this is your first time watching, I am Kezia, and my goal on the internet is to make lower footprint, sustainable living feel a bit less complicated and a bit more budget friendly. So obviously the actual tools we use to make that happen practically are kind of key to that. So I'm going to take you through our favorite one, the Monzo app, today. I love budgeting, and I know that this is not where everyone sits. I have been in a place where it has really stressed me out, where I felt shame, felt like I'm spending what I shouldn't be spending, felt like every purchase is scary because I don't know how it affects all of my other purchases. So I'm a huge advocate of budgeting all the money that comes in and knowing exactly where it's going to go. We also find it really helps in relationship to have pre-conversations prior to money coming in, prior to each month. So we know what are our budgeting goals and how are we trying to budget our money. We're going to talk today about the practical ways more that we then do that month to month rather than those initial conversations and how we actually organize our numbers. If you want to see the video I have on that, it's up here, and it is primarily about finding how much you should be spending on food each month, because I talk about that a lot and how we can budget for food and how we can use our food budget effectively. But a lot of people don't have a food budget, or they have a budget they think they should stick to, but it's kind of an arbitrary number, or they have a number, but then they don't stick to it. So this video is all about determining exactly what the right food budget is for you and your life and the people that you shop for and with. But today we're going to cover more of the practicals of how we stick to those numbers month to month and organize money in a very simple way. A lot of people find budgeting restrictive. I actually love budgeting for the opposite reason. It lets me know that I can spend this amount of money per month on, say, food, and I know that it's not going to impact other things. Or I know that I can't spend any more money this month or any money at all on a certain thing, say coffee out, but I know why, and I know it's so that I have money to spend on food at home or on kids clubs or on housing. And so we actually know why our spending needs to be organized how it is. And for me and our family, that brings so much peace. So much stress in budgeting comes from not really knowing where we can spend money without it impacting other things, or not knowing how much money we do have to spend in those places. So that is why I love budgeting. It gives motivation, peace, and helps our relationships. But you do not have to have a full budget with every bit that you earn to use the Monzo app to bring peace and ease to your budget. But why Monzo? Why are we even looking at Monzo? The answer is, in trying to build a more sustainable, low impact life, where we have our money can make a big difference. And banks are something that can very much be rated as ethical or non-ethical in a few different ways. The two big things it tends to come down to are what they will invest their money in and how they operate themselves as a bank in terms of practices and paying taxes and things like that. My favorite reasons for choosing Monzo are that it does not have any part in the arms and weapons industry, the fossil fuel industry, or the tobacco industry. Those are three things that Monzo does not invest in. Those are things that in building a lower footprint life, we do not want our money doing. There are very few banks that take these ethical stances. There are a few though, it's not limited to Monzo. I had a cooperative account when I was a teenager. There is also Triodos. Triodos is a B corporation, and we do have a Triodos account, and I love it for savings. Triodos, their software, their app, all of it is just not as user-friendly as Monzo. And I think when we're trying to do these things in the midst of busy life, if we can get ease with ethics and sustainability, I am always going to choose ease. So that is a big reason for me choosing Monzo. And I love that it practically helps us organize our money without having to go to another app or another software or input numbers somewhere else. How do we use Monzo to budget? This is actually very simple, but I wanted to explain it because I think that sometimes that helps. So you're going to want to have a bank account with Monzo. There's a link below and you can get £5 for doing it. You're also going to get their app. Then ideally, you're also going to have some idea of a non-arbitrary number that you want to stick to or need to stick to in some area of your budgeting. We have both personal and joint accounts with Monzo. You can just do a joint account, you can just have a personal one. There are pros and cons to both of those, which we will talk a bit about. Once you get the app, you will see you've got your account information, and below that, you have this section called pots. Pots are basically going to take money from your main account, your joint account, your personal account, whatever account you create them with, and they're going to section that money off, and then you can put parameters on it. You can lock the pot, you can choose how much goes into the pot, you can deposit money in there manually when you want from another account, or you can set up a recurring payment for as much as you want, however often you want. Then through the month, when you need to pay, or you can pay and do it after, you can go to the pot, make a quick transfer. So you're just going to put in the amount that you want, transfer it from the pot into the account that you want, and then you can go to spend the money. When the money in the pot is gone, the money in the pot is gone. So it can help you regulate that through the month or through the week or however long the pot is supposed to last for. So I'm going to show you how we set up a pot so that you can see exactly how this helps us. So we can click to open a new pot, and we will get the choice between opening a joint or a personal pot if you have both of those on your account. So for this one, I'm going to click a joint pot, and I'm going to label it Kids Clubs. It's going to be a pot for kids clubs, so we can save each month, and then the ballet and the football and the different kids things. We know that that money is always sectioned off so that when it comes time to pay quarterly or annually for different things, the right amount of money is sitting in that pot. We can set a goal if we want to. I don't typically use that. Then we can set up either an initial amount to put in the pot or a direct transfer from the account that it is linked to. This is what I love. I set this up monthly, typically. If you get paid twice a month, you might do twice a month. You can set it with a frequency that makes sense for your income when you know there's money there, and how often you want it pulled across so that it's not just sitting in your account without being assigned to something. So you work out what makes sense, pop that in, and then how much you want to transfer across. Then you will see at the bottom, there is this little checkbox for pay direct from the pot. So this is not available in their free plan. We do not use this, and it's still a really helpful budgeting tool. Just each time we go to make a purchase, we transfer the money across, or we reconcile it every few days or at the end of the week. And we did try the Monzo Extra, but then for £3 a month, you can upgrade and you do get some extra features. You can then create cards for pots. So you can load them in your Apple Wallet or just have a separate card number, and you can use a whole separate card for each pot. So you can know this is my food money. You can pay straight from that card for your food. The one downside with that is you cannot link it to a joint account. For us, it was more important to both be able to see those transactions and be able to share that pot from both our phones, both our accounts, both our cards, rather than to have the ability to pay directly from the pot. And if it's going to help you really stick to the numbers, then doing that small payment a month might make sense. I knew that we could do it without that, and we really wanted that shared pot. So that's why we chose to keep it with the free version. As long as it works, I'm always going to choose spending less money. And now we have it set so that each month, when our money comes in for the month, or if you have a variable income, which is what we do, and it's coming in at different points in the month, choose a point that makes sense. And on whatever date you choose, the money is going to move into this assigned pot. So you can see 500 on the first has gone into our food pot. The Add Payment tab lets you take direct debits and standing orders and mark them to go from that pot if you want. So I'm going to take this school lunch payment and mark it to always go out of our food pot. If it's a food budget, you might want to do weekly to really help you stay on track week to week. You might want to do monthly, and then you're going to break it down into different shops through the month. I set our food budget monthly, so we have £500 to spend per month, but then I break it down in my head so that I know I've got about £125 per week. But it may be more helpful to set that per week so that you can't ever get too off and you're having to bring it back each week. You can also really break it down so that if you want the money to go out, but you also want it broken down, you can have it go into 4 different pots. You can have week 1 of the month, week 2 of the month, week 3 of the month, week 4 of the month, so that the money is out of your main account. It is all assigned, but it is assigned for different weeks. Or you can really break it down. It's not just a food budget. You've got alcohol spending, eating out spending, food at home spending, so that you're really helping yourself stick to these different categories that are going to help different things not infringe on each other. I talk more about that in the what should I be spending on food video, and you can find that below. So now what we've done is we've kind of secured that money. We've kept it safe from being in our account. We know what it's going to be spent on. And I love that because it brings me both the peace of knowing we do have that money set aside for things, but also as I spend it, I feel the peace of knowing I can spend this with it making sense within our wider budget. And the piece of that is amazing. A couple of other bits that Monzo has done that I love for this. They have offers that you can activate. I don't know why you have to activate them. I find this a little bit like, why don't you just give them to me? Because you can miss them if you have to activate them. But if you click on the offers tab, often there will be an offer from a place that you might shop that can help you if you're already going to purchase there. But we had a percentage cashback for Vinted. I needed some tap shoes for a child. I could activate that offer and just get a little bit back. They're all little bits, but then we just click on those, have a look through, and if there's something that makes sense, we activate it and then it will automatically apply it, either as a one-time or an ongoing offer, which is just a little extra helper. And then we have had pots for our kids. Finding ethical kids accounts is hard. I started with a cooperative account. They do a savings account if your kids are 7 and above. Triodos have paused all of their kids accounts. Monzo have not done a kids account, so we've had pots for our kids, and it just transfers a little bit each week as a practical way for them to see how much money they have on our phone and for them to have their pocket money. However, when I came to make this video, there has been a banner for a long time saying, alert me when kids accounts come, they are live. So we'll make that a separate video and I'll look at setting up a kids account because our kids are so excited to have their own bank accounts. But that is now an option, which is amazing because I think it's a great way to get kids understanding budgeting and their money, but also the ethics of where we keep our money and that whole side of banking and money that people often don't think about. It's also very practical and easy to use, which I love because I think money can be scary, and if we can make it not scary, I absolutely love that. Our kids probably this weekend, and by the time this video goes live, will have their own accounts with Monzo, and I will show you how that process looked. We don't have a pot for everything. We do have a spreadsheet with everything budgeted out in terms of how much we have to spend on everything. We make pots for the things that we're likely to overspend on and that we need to rein in or be really aware of where we're spending. So that for us is gonna be clothing. We don't tend to overbuy on clothing, but we have a very, very small clothing budget. And so we just need to know, oh, no, not this month, or we have to take it from somewhere else. And that is the beautiful thing with pots, is if we don't have the money in one pot, we're then powerful to go to a different pot and say, can we take some money from here? Or have a discussion with the people we're spending with. Can we take money from this other pot? Okay, there's this amount in our food pot. I think we can make it through the month on 20 quid less than that. Okay, we can move that and spend it on something else. But it just helps us know the impact of our spending in different areas, to see it divided up into these different pots, really practically in front of us. I also use some really temporary pots. So over the summer, I knew we would be doing some eating out with family. Now, we actually don't have eating out anywhere in our budget. We just have a food budget. And to make it through the month on our food budget, we pretty much need to eat at home. We're fine with that, is where our budgeting is at, and we're really happy with that. But we wanted to be able to eat out with family over the summer. And so we just made a little temporary pot for eat out savings. And whenever we could save money from somewhere else, we popped it in there. Whenever we could spend a little bit less on food, we maybe intentionally spent under by £10 one week, we could throw it in that pot, or we could intentionally not spend on something that month, pop it into that temporary savings pot, so that when we went to eat out with family or order takeout with family, we knew we have organized this, we've put it into this temporary pot, here it is, we can spend it, and now we can move on. So it can also be really, really great for that. Say you're going on holiday, you've paid for the holiday, that's done, but you know you're gonna want some extra spending money. Instead of just spending and then coming back and going, I hope that was all okay, which so many of us do so often, thinking a bit ahead, creating that temporary pot, and whenever there's money left over from something else, or if you can go sell something on Facebook Marketplace and put it in the pot, or intentionally spend that £10 less on food that week, and then that week, and then that week, and then put 30 into the pot. We can do these little like temporary pots so that we're not having to kind of pay for things after the fact or feel the regret of something after the fact, but we can have these little temporary pots. So you can create pots for whatever you want to create pots for, whatever makes most sense for you. It's been really helpful for us, like I said, for peace, that we have that money to spend, to stop ourselves spending money in places where it's not to be spent, to help us regulate spending through the month, and to help us relationally. As a simple free option, I cannot recommend enough the Monzo, both banking as an ethical bank, but also really, really helping with the practical day-to-day budgeting in a simple, easy to use, easy to collaborate on way that now involves kids as well. So that is my take on Monzo and why we use it. I hope that helps, because I know this is an area that can be so stressful, and it is just my heart that it wouldn't be in any way that I can help with. So I have listed some other videos below that have to do with this. In this video here, I walk you through really practically how we determine a food budget through different phases of life, different things changing, and how we get a number that we know is not just arbitrary, but is a workable one for our family. And then the sticking to it. So this series here is all about how we meal plan, how you can do it too in a way that is effective in 10 minutes a week. And then other videos where you can just be a fly on the wall in our kitchen to see how we implement that £500 a month budget in real life with some sustainable and ethical values in the mix as well. But hit subscribe, and I will see you back in another video sometime soon. Thanks for joining.